right, I think we're ready to go. Welcome everybody back to the Sport Card Expo, Spring 2025 here in the Greater Toronto area. My name is Jeremy Lee. I'm the host of Sports Cards Live on YouTube and on podcast. And I am very pleased and excited to be joined by Ray Bourque, formerly of the Boston Bruins, Colorado Avalanche. Welcome Ray Bourque to the stage, everybody.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Well, Ray, it's truly an honor. And if I want to start by asking you, we come to these events twice a year here in Toronto, and of course we travel. There's a circuit. There's a card show circuit. It's a community, and having the players come at times and signing autographs and meeting with the fans, it's special to us because we enjoy collecting the cards. It's a whole thing, Ray. It's a whole thing. What is it like for you to come out to these events and sit for a couple of hours and sign autographs and meet the fans and see the spark in their eye when they get to meet you? What's that feel like for you?
Well, it's a cult, right? No, I really I can't believe some of the stuff that you come across. That it's be surprised sometimes that something that I've never seen. Over the years of signing stuff, and this odd thing will pop up where you're like, "Wow, where'd you get that?" And no, I totally understand, the passion of the hockey fans and the collectors and all that stuff. So it's fun to come. We sign a lot of stuff, but then we get a little time to spend with, the public fans, and that's always a nice connection to do public signing. We're in the back doing a lot of stuff by ourselves, but then you go out and sign for the public. It's always fun to communicate with them and say hi and look them in the eye and shake their hands, and then photo booth and stuff like that, and then we get to do this and communicate a little bit with the fans and give them maybe a little insight on some stuff that they might not have heard before.
Well, that's what I want to get out of you here today as we sit here. You get sent cards from card companies like Upper Deck, and I know I've owned cards of yours with your signature on them, and pieces of jerseys and patches from Bruins logos, Avalanche. What is it like for you when you receive a batch of cards from, say, Upper Deck, and you look at these and you sign them? Do you ever look at these cards and think to yourself, "Wow, that's a nice one," or "I don't know about that one"? How do you feel? Do you ever want to keep some of them?
No, those are some of the stuff that you never see, and there's a lot of us, I think, that have deals with Upper Deck, and maybe 3 times a year we receive a big box of these special cards that might have a piece of my stick or a piece of my jersey or a puck, all kinds of different cards that are really cool that the normal fan doesn't have or can't get, or really hard to get. I don't even know how people get those cards. I don't know what they do with them, but I know they're pretty cool to sign.
Yeah, it's great to hear that you're entertained by them, because we as collectors, hobbyists, we certainly are, and it's nice to know.
How do you get them?
Well, you buy packs at several of the vendors here, or at a card shop, wherever you live, or you can order them online from various places. You buy singles on eBay and other marketplaces. And you pay the price, you win the auction, the cards come, you enjoy them, and eventually you just put them away in your collection.
Because they're not normal cards.
They're not like they use when in 1980-81 your rookie card came out in Canada on January 1st, 1981. That's when Canadians could buy your O-Pee-Chee rookie card, because O-Pee-Chee every year released it on January 1st. So your rookie card came out. The 1980 set is a wonderful set. The cards came out in poor condition many times. That's besides the point. When you first saw your rookie card, what did you think? Can you picture it in your head right now? How well do you know that card?
Well, I just remember as a kid, buying cards for the gum that was inside. And then you'd be playing, you'd be trading with your friends, or you'd be playing, the flips and trying to knock these cards down to try to collect other ones that you didn't have. So as a kid, I remember growing up, and you just think that maybe I should not be doing that. I really wasn't collecting, but to know that, buying cards maybe in the late 60s or early 70s, and some of those great Montreal teams or some of the great players that were playing back then, to know what maybe some of those cards are worth, today. Maybe I wouldn't have been playing with them, but that was the fun of it. But when I saw my rookie card, it was just cool, you know, because I remember buying them as a kid, and now now people are buying your card or getting your card if they're lucky in one of those packs. So, but again, you kind of a lot of stuff that happens once you make the NHL. You can't really believe that you're here and you're doing it and you've made it. So it was always a dream of mine to play in the NHL. I grew up in Montreal, pretty spoiled growing up there, watching the Canadians win cups and going to parades and all that kind of stuff. So, kind of know that you made it once you have that rookie card, and then many more to come after that.
Pretty cool. Yeah, you can your rookie card in gem mint condition, graded by the industry leaders, can sell for over $10,000, which is pretty cool. Bobby Orr, legendary defenseman, also for the Boston Bruins. You mentioned watching some of these great teams and players. We as the hobby collect these wonderful defensemen. You're obviously an all-time top defenseman. When you watch the game today, who sticks out to you as being some of the best defensemen that you think are going to have long, successful careers? And I don't want to rip out the easy answer here being Cale Makar, but if you could say someone other than Cale Makar, because that's who I know, right? Who else?
Why say something else than somebody else than Makar? He's phenomenal. He's amazing. But the Quentin Hughes in Vancouver, that's an amazing special player. I can't believe what Hudson did in Montreal as a rookie and that size, and tying Larry Murphy's assist record, I think, or breaking it,
maybe?
Or Chelios, getting all those points. Special players, but Makar, Hughes, is it Wierzynski and Wierzynski and Columbus?
Werenski in Columbus, Zach Werenski.
He's finally stayed healthy, all year to really allow himself to have possibly a Norris Trophy season for him. So you got the veterans and Tampa with Hedman. He's always in the mix. He's an amazing player, tough to play against. So those core guys are pretty special to watch.
Who was the best defenseman that you played against in the 80s, 90s?
Brian Leach, Paul Coffey, Kevin Stevens. Those guys, or Al McInnes. These were, or Lindstrom in Detroit was an amazing player. All those guys that were kind of competing for the Norris Trophies pretty much every year. So, there's a lot of good ones out there.
You played over 1,500 games in NHL, lots of teammates, lots of experiences. Is there a moment that still to this day sticks out with you? Maybe an experience with a teammate that kind of you think about it and it just makes you laugh, that we as fans and the public are not privy to?
Yeah, there's lots of them. I mean, what you miss most is acting like a 15-year-old, every day. You're playing a game for a living. It's business and it's serious, but the fun that we have as a group is pretty crazy. Some special dinners that we have, rookie meals. I remember, in Tampa, and when you have team meals as a team, you got to be careful while you're eating, because there's always somebody that's going to get shoe check, and that's like when you have these really nice shoes on and somebody's under the table putting all this crap on your shoes, and then everybody kind of clacks the glass, and that somebody got it. That you kind of look at your shoes and you're hoping it's not you. So we're having a rookie meal one night in Tampa. After a while, the rookies were making really good money coming into the league. So we never initiated guys in Boston, but the rookie meal started, and that was kind of their initiation into the league. And the rookies hoped that they had 2 or 3 or 4 of them on the team, because these meals could go anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000. So, but you knew somebody was going to get it that night, And the veteran that I was, I sat in the corner, and I had a little shelf behind my seat, and I had these really nice shoes with tassels on them, so I took them off. I put them up on the counter, you know, thinking they can't get to them, right? And so we order, the food starts coming out, and this lobster tail comes out in my shoe, and the tassels is cut. So, and I was captain, and I was like, I stand up, I'm like, you messed around with the wrong guy, and whoever that was, you are dead. So then I'm sitting with Adam Oates, Cam Neely, Don Sweeney, and a table of veterans, and Adam Oates says, Ray, I'm going to find out. So he comes back, and he says, it's Cal McLaren, a rookie. So I'm like, oh, my God, really? So he's got this beautiful leather jacket on his chair, and he goes to the bathroom. I grab his leather jacket. I go into the kitchen, and I tell the chef to kind of slice both sleeves. Now it's a vest. I put it back on his chair. He comes back. He's all pissed, and he's upset. I'm like, I told you, you messed around with the wrong guy. It wasn't Kyle. It was Adam Oates. So all that kind of stuff, that happens, yeah. You know, or tricks, you know. On trading days, you know, you kind of get somebody that, you know, hey, Harry's on the phone, you know, in the trainer's office, and he picks up the phone, and there's Vaseline all over the phone. You know, he gets that, all stupid stuff like that. So.
Yeah. When you're playing with a lot of players. Not all the players get the spotlight, but was there ever a guy in the locker room with you, and you know you knew he was the real deal, but he wasn't really ever appreciated or as well known to the public as somebody who, listen, this is somebody you might want to watch out for?
Yeah, a lot of the guys, you know, are glue guys. You know, like I played with like a guy like Dave Reed. I played with in Boston. Then I played with him in Colorado, and you know, these guys are leaders among your team, but they're playing roles. They could play up and down the lineup. They kill penalties. They sacrifice their bodies with blocking shots and doing all the dirty stuff. And so guys like that are, you know, third, fourth line guys, or the fifth or sixth defenseman that really make a difference on a team. And when you look at championship teams, those guys are the glue guys, and they make a difference. And if you win or not, and a lot of times, they're not the ones that are getting the credits. The guys that are putting up the numbers, and those guys are not so much about numbers. So I would say a lot of those guys that played down the lineup were key guys that never got enough credit.
All right, so you go to Colorado. You're there for the first season. Second season, you win the cup. You win the cup that night. Joe Sakic passes you the Holy Grail. Long career, Ray. What goes through your mind in that moment?
What a relief. You know, 22 years, and you know, I was always talked about as a great player and all that, but you know, it followed up with, but you know, he never won a cup, and that really burns you, because winning is so hard. It is so hard to win at all. And there's so much that goes into it. You know, we went to 2 finals with the Bruins in '88 and '90 and never even came close. And finally, having the opportunity to go to Colorado and, you know, not getting it done my first year there, but going back and finishing up the job. And, you know, Joe was such a classy guy. After Game 6, coming home on the plane, all he wanted to talk about is, Ray, you know, how are we going to do the cup thing? I'm like, Joe, let's win the game. Let's win the game, and then we'll worry about the cup thing. We'll have plenty of time before they bring it out to talk about what you want to do with it. But he wanted me right next to him. An amazing player, but an amazing person. And, I mean, what a feeling. I mean, you see pictures of me and just the joy and the relief. And it was just an amazing experience for myself and my family, and sharing it with my teammates.
And the fans. We were all so happy for you.
It was a great story. You know, it was a win-win for hockey, and you know, I left Boston, and I mean, I went back after the first stint there, and people were amazing. They were like, oh my God, we followed you out there. And then the next year, I mean, this major radio station collecting money to have a billboard put in Colorado wishing me luck. I'd see it every time I'd be going into the rink. Good luck, Ray. Win the Stanley Cup. So when I went back, you know, everybody was so happy for me. And actually, my agent calls me the next day after winning the cup, and he says, Ray, I got a call from the mayor's office in Boston, and he wants to have a day for you at City Hall. I'm like, I can't do that. I don't want to embarrass the Bruins. And he said, what about if the Bruins sign off on it? So he calls Mike O'Connell, and Mike O'Connell said, we don't have a problem with it. So we had that day, and I brought the cup back to Boston. There was 10,000 people at that day at City Hall. So it was amazing.
It must have felt to them like, you know, after being a fan of yours for so long, that like they'd won the cup along with you.
I'd like to think that I kind of started something in Boston when I brought the cup home, and it was the summer of 2001 in June. And after that, the Patriots win in 2001. They go on to win 6 times. The Red Sox win in 2004. They go on to win 3 or 4 times. The Celtics win a couple of times. The Bruins win. So we were pretty spoiled for 2 decades there. I just like to think I had a little something to do with it.
Yeah, you started off that momentum. Well done, well done. Is there, the night you win the cup, and I appreciate the stories you've already told, but is there an off-camera moment that might have happened that evening that really sticks with you in your memory to this day?
Yeah, so I knew going into Game 6 that it may be my last game played. Like, you know, I just wanted to sign a 1-year deal when I went back for my 2nd year. Pierre Lacroix didn't want to give me a 1-year deal. He wanted to give me a 2-year deal. I'm like, whatever. I know my wife, I tell my wife, this is it regardless if we win or lose. So when we're down 3-2 going into New Jersey for Game 6, I have all my siblings, my wife's siblings, my dad, her dad, and my best friends at the game in case it's my last game played in the NHL. Well, we win 4-0. Now I bring everybody to Colorado. Now I know it's my last game, and I've got this big 15-passenger van to bring everybody around. Some people were staying at the hotel. Some were staying at my house. And there was a big cooler in there, had it all set up for them. And then after the game, we go party till about 2:30 in the morning, and then I'm ready to leave. And Pierre Lacroix says, bring the cup home with you. So I bring it home with me, but I bring everybody back home with me. And we turn on the street I lived in Littleton, Colorado, and I start beeping the horn. We put the cup on the sidewalk and the cooler in the street, and we're there till about 5:30 in the morning. So that was pretty cool.
That's very cool. We can only imagine being a part of something like that, Ray. It's unbelievable. Now, many years have passed since you've won the cup, and you mentioned earlier that it was relief. What does it mean to you now, if you look back over your Hall of Fame career? You know, listen, I think we, the public, consider you a top 5 defenseman of all time. You just a wonderful career, well respected. And then, you know, I think back, I read the story about when you switched numbers because Phil Esposito's number was retired in Boston, so you could no longer wear 7. You took off you took off the jersey you were wearing, and underneath had 77. Just to wrap this up, because you got to get back there right away here, Ray. What was it like to bestow that honor and respect upon someone who came before you, like Phil Esposito?
Well, I wore number 29 in training camp, and I had a great camp, and I was, you know, going to start first game in Boston, and I come into the room, and number 7's there with my name on it. I knew Phil Esposito wore that number. So, you know, the story goes that Phil and Harry Sinden really, after they traded Phil to New York, they really did not get along, and they were pissed at each other. So for that reason, I think he gave me the number 7, and I wore it. I mean, you know, I didn't say much when I was a rookie. And then Bobby Schmatz comes up to me and says, if you hear any hecklers, don't worry about it. Just play your game. So, you know, I had an amazing start to my career, Rookie of the Year, first-team All-Star. Never heard anything about it other than the press asking me, what do you think about Phil Esposito's number being retired? I said, he's a legend. He did amazing things here, won 2 cups, of course. I said, they gave me that number. I'm like, you know, I'm wearing it, but that's not up to me. And then they decide to retire it December 3rd, 1987. And it's kind of weird because nothing was said about what was going to happen with the jersey till 1 o'clock that afternoon. Terry Riley was coaching us, and he calls me before I'm about to go down for my nap, pregame nap, and he says, "What do you think we should do with the number?" I'm like, great communication, but we came up with that I was going to go up for warm-up with number 7, come back in, go in the back room, the trainer's room, and put number 77 underneath and put 7 on top and go back out. We'll call Phil up, and then I'll unveil 77 and give Phil number 7 to the guy that, you know, deserves to have it. Nobody else should have been able to wear that number, but it was amazing because it was kind of crazy, the lack of communication, but it was awesome because none of my teammates, I drive in with Keith Crowder and Glenn Wesley that day. No teammates, I didn't say a word. No teammates, no press, no fans, just my wife, trainers and coaches and management knew. So it was a big surprise to everybody, and especially to Phil. You know, I joke when I say that it's the first time that anybody's ever seen Phil Esposito speechless, but he really was.
That's an amazing moment. Listen, Ray, thank you so much for joining us
All
here
right.
at the Sport Card
Pleasure.
Expo.
Thank you.
On the stage, guys, Ray Bourque.